how to sound like your favorite 70s rock god. Hello and welcome to another lesson with Tomcat and Ulrich. So today we're gonna look at some of the approaches that our guitar heroes from the 70s were using. And it seems to be dated in some way. We now have the year 2021, so it's over like 50 years later, but still this music is highly relevant. And some of the groundbreaking techniques of electric guitar playing were set in the 70s and even a little before, starting with Jimi Hendrix. So that's what we are going to look at in this series. If you are someone that wants to master this style of playing, then you have come to the right place here. We're going to look at the different aspects of the playing of heroes like David Gilmour, Jimi Hendrix, Mark Knopfler, and the likes, and we're gonna analyze their style and figure out what it really takes to play in that kind of fashion. Tomcat, are you ready to get started? And then at the end of the lesson, you're gonna hear about my Hendrix workshop and also other strategies that you can take to get better at that particular style of playing. So let's have some fun. Let's get started. Are you ready, Tomcat? So this is going to be a 5-video series about the guitar heroes of the 70s, and we're going to start today with melody. Why are we starting with melody? Well, because melody is the integral element of this type of style. And today sometimes guitar playing has become more technical, more virtuoso, but let me tell you, melody is still king. And that's why the music of guitar heroes like David Gilmour is still highly relevant. So what does it really take to play melodic like this? Well, let's have a look. I mean, obviously the phrasing is a huge part of this. Wouldn't you agree? What do you think, Tomcat? So players like Gilmour, Knopfler, Hendrix, they were all masters of phrasing. They were able to really play pristine kind of bends, vibrato, and it just became this really vocal and really clear, distinct style. So if you have any aspirations to sound like that, I recommend to start with your phrasing and really get that down first. So in order to get that down, what do we need to do? Well, we need to get our bendings in tune. We need to control our vibrato, the speed of it and the intensity. And and we need to be able to do it in time, basically, in a controlled fashion. And that's really the secret to playing like this. When we look at someone like David Gilmour, I notice immediately how controlled his vibrato is. How he's really able to add the vibrato with just the perfect dosage. He's never overdoing it. So, if you just play one note, and then you just slightly add that tasteful vibrato. That really creates a big part of that Gilmour magic. But not only him, I mean so many guitar players, even the ones that I haven't mentioned here. Peter Frampton, Santana, Gary Moore. I mean there's countless players that have mastered this melodic type of playing. So just think of Gary Moore's Still Got the Blues, for example, When you listen to the original, you will notice how controlled and perfect the vibrato is. So, definitely work on that if you want to master that style. But now we come to the second aspect, and the second aspect is just hitting the right notes, hitting the sweet notes. So, which are the sweet notes? Well, the notes, they really have the quality of landing somewhere. They're the chord tones. So if we look at a simple G minor kind of tonality, and I'm tuned to E flat, by the way, then what are our sweet notes? Well, it's the root note, that's obvious. Then we got the third. And then we got the fifth. So all the notes of our triad, which, triad is another word for chord. It's like the simplest form of a chord, basically the essential notes, the root, the third, and the fifth. All those notes are going to be landing notes, yeah? So when I play, even just over a simple drone, like, let's get a G drone going here real quick. Yes, my friends. So if you really want to master this kind of playing, you want to know where your chord tones are and at least be able to find the chord tones of your very common cadences, If we go back to the key of G minor, for example, that would be G minor, minor, and then D, either D minor, or if we take the dominant on D, then it would be D major. So we want to know the triads of those three chords, you know, the cadence, and then that really helps us to play over the most common progressions, basically. Yeah? Does that make sense to you, Tomcat? So that brings us to the area number 3, and this area is sometimes overlooked by a lot of guitar players. I'm talking about dynamics. If you listen to players like Gilmour or Knopfler, you undoubtedly hear their great use of dynamics. Electric guitars can be sometimes a little bit tricky to play in a dynamic way because, you know, unlike an acoustic instrument, we pretty much have one level, one plane when we play. So we need to take an extra effort to sound dynamic. So to be in control of your dynamics, you want to be in control of your volume knob and also of your different pickups. Why do I say pickups? It might surprise you a little bit. Well, most of the time on most guitars, different pickup combinations have different type of outputs. So you can switch to a different pickup as a dynamic shift. Yeah, you can basically switch gears and just switch to a different dynamic. In my case, I have a humbucker here in the bridge, which is significantly louder than the single coil. Not only louder, but it has a different tonal color. It sounds more pinchy and more trebly. So I can definitely use it just to switch the dynamic of it. Yeah? So that was another thing that the guitar gods of the 70s were absolute masters of. Most of them didn't have many pedals to switch or so. It basically was just one amp, one sound, and their fingers, you know, their craftiness on the guitar. That's a maybe kind of old school way of playing in today's age of campers and pedal switchers, loopers and all that. But you know, it's still very, very valid. The tone comes from the fingers. Don't you agree, Tomcat? And so I highly recommend for you to go back and just practice playing around with the volume knob and your pickup switches. You will discover some great tonal colors out of that. We're coming to the last aspect here when wanting to sound like your favorite 70s rock gods. And this one particularly refers to David Gilmour. And that is less is more and the use of space. I could do a whole video on just this topic alone. But in a nutshell, what it means, let it breathe. Pun intended. So, you know, take pauses. Don't feel the need to fill everything up with 16th notes. Instead, leave plenty of pauses between your phrases. And I'm going to demonstrate that one more time here with the backing track of Time. You saw I was by far not playing as minimalistic as David Gilmour. I've kind of played in my own style, but still I let the notes breathe, and I played plenty of long notes in between and then also some pauses. Because that, Tomcat, that is the essence of having that clarity in your sound. Not only Gilmour did that, also Peter Frampton, all the guitar heroes here that we mentioned, they had that aspect to their playing. So it's time for a little summary. So today we talked about how to play as melodic as some as our favorite 70s guitar rock gods. And we found out that it comes down to 4 secrets or 4 areas really. The first one being your phrasing. The second one being hitting the right notes and the sweet notes, the chord tones. The third one being the use of dynamics and the control of your volume knob. And the fourth one, the use of space and less is more. We hope that you enjoyed this lesson and it inspired you. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm putting out a video every Thursday, so you don't want to miss the next video. And if you hit the bell, then you'll get a notification in your inbox. But there's even something cooler waiting for you, and that is if you click on the link below, then you can watch my free Jimi Hendrix workshop where I talk about exact those topics and much more. And we go into depth, basically what it takes to play in Hendrix's style, which he's a great example because he is the godfather of rock. And basically all those 70s guitar gods, I still kind of count Hendrix too as a 70s guitar god because he lays the framework and the roots for that kind of guitar playing. So go check out below, check out my free Jimi Hendrix workshop, and I hope you're gonna learn a lot in that one. And let me know how it goes with it. You can always ask me questions here on my channel, and we want to help you to get better on guitar. That's the purpose of this channel. So in that sense, tune in again next week. Happy playing, happy learning, and keep rocking.